Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of our new podcast. I don't believe in side quests. As you can see, we're both really excited. Uh, my name is Gabe, also known as Nenya on Twitch, and this is my co-host, Lauren, also known as Sweetie on Twitch.
It's an adjustment. I know. It's
It
weird.
is, yeah. That's why I wanted to mention them, like in case we, you know, interchange them. I feel like we're gonna try to use Gabe and Lauren, but in case we use the other ones, then we'll know. Um, Kind of what we were thinking. A typical podcast, for us would be is like, or an episode would be like, an intro, kind of talking about our days, maybe things that have been going on, and then kind of going into a main topic, and then kind of ending with some local drama and kind of like a recap of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, we're streamers, we're friends. Um, we are going to be talking about games, we're going to be talking about technology, life updates, whatever else truly springs into our little brains. Yes. Hi, I'm Lauren, also known as Sweetie Patat on Twitch. I started streaming on Twitch in October of 2020. The pandemic had hit. My fiance and I were just home all the time, not going out. My social life up till then had been going, out to theater, to plays, getting drinks with my friends. And so I was so lonely. And Idaho, my fiance, also known as Mike, he streams under Idaho, but he was used to playing games with his friends remotely because a group of his friends were back home where he was from, and so he just had that community that was already kind of preset. So when the pandemic hit, yes, absolutely, he was sad. He didn't get to see friends in person, but he did have the ability that was already set up and already created that he could just play games with them, talk with them on Discord, and I didn't have any of that built out. None of my friends played games, really. And so I was just so lonely and just so jealous that he was able to still maintain that sort of social interaction. And he also was watching Twitch, and I had really never watched Twitch before. And so he was watching it, and that kind of introduced me to Twitch. And I started finding streamers, especially female streamers, who I was really kind of connecting to. And it definitely kind of broadened my idea of, oh, hold on, I could do this, and I could meet people this way, and this could be a way for me to get social interaction as well. So I was really drawn to that idea of streaming, and I started streaming Stardew Valley. We built me a gaming computer. Again, this is back in October of 2020. Yep. I know what year it is.
I don't.
But I didn't have a concept of my channel. I didn't know what I wanted to play. I didn't know what kind of people I wanted to connect to. I started playing the Nancy Drew games off stream in just kind of a fit of nostalgia. I just didn't know what I wanted to play. They just seemed so comforting to me. And I was about to play Treasure in the Royal Tower as part of my playthrough. And my sister wanted to watch me stream those just because they were really important to our childhood. And that night, the first night that I started streaming Nancy Drew, I just joined a community of Nancy Drew streamers. And I was not expecting that. I wasn't expecting a lot of people to be out playing it. I wasn't expecting so many people to still love all of those games. And I found some of the people who I've truly spent so much time with in the past year. Basically people who I've spent the most time with other than my fiance. And Gabe rated me. Did we decide it was my second ever Nancy stream?
I think it was because it was the Royal Tower, Treasure in the Royal Tower. I remember because I love that one, and I was like, oh, she's playing Treasure in the Royal Tower. Dan was like, oh.
The universe is like, okay, let's just expedite this friendship. Let's just not waste any time. Let's get it going. And so, yeah, a year later, we are here starting up this podcast which is so
Yeah,
crazy.
literally. Our friend anniversary gift to each other. Let's make a baby and start a podcast. I mean, it was like 2 days
Yay.
early, but like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, okay, since you talked about your streaming, I guess I'll talk a bit about mine. I've been on Twitch for like a long time, a long time. So like my account that I use now, nenyaadamas, has I think I made in like 2016, but I was on
Mm-hmm.
Twitch a little bit before that. Just I guess the main reason was like you only have so much money, right? Like you can't buy
Mm.
every single game. But there's so
Yeah.
many games. Oh, I really want to play that. So I joined Twitch heavily to be able to watch a wide variety of games I couldn't play, but like really wanted
Mm.
to and wanted to see. And then I stayed on Twitch because I loved the interactions you could have with someone, and it was like really nostalgic to. So I also played Nancy Drew when I was a child, and like I would always play it with a friend, and we'd always be like doing it together, and gaming together, and so like Twitch always feels like that. You're experiencing something with other people, you're thinking about things with other people, and I really love that. So that was like what kept me on Twitch. And then I don't really know why I made Nenya. It was kind of like I don't like my old usernames. I don't feel like they were me. They were just
Mm.
like, you know. And so you can ask one of my best friends. I spent like 4 hours trying to figure out what I was gonna do, how I was gonna make it, or like what it was gonna be, the meaning behind the name,
Okay, so
and
you've
like
always been like marketing all about the
yes,
brand.
yeah, well, because I was like, this is what people are gonna know me as. Like, I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
switch it. I don't want to have to switch it. And I was like, so I have to
Mm.
like think about it. And
Mm-hmm.
so Nenya is Galadriel's ring from Lord of the Rings. I'm a super big nerd. I freaking love the Lord of the Rings. And the ring is also known as the Ring of Adamants, the Ring of Water. I also really love water, which is partially why I chose it, but I also liked how the name sound. And so the Adamus or Adamus is Latin for adamant. Because Twitch was like, you need a first name and a last name. And I was like, I'll give you a first name and a last name.
All right.
Yeah,
So, where did the dragons come from? Because dragons are a big element of your stream.
they're my favorite thing in the whole world and have been for my entire life. And I
Okay.
was like, I looked at like what everyone was doing. And like back then, there wasn't a lot of dragon stuff. And I was like, you know what? That's me. And like,
Taking that,
I
I'm claiming
have
it.
dragon stuff everywhere. Like, everywhere. Like, I have statues and everything. And I was like, you know what? Makes sense. So,
I
yeah.
love that.
And I didn't really make it thinking I was going to stream, but like, I thought about those things in the back of my head. And then I probably started streaming like March 2016 or something like that because my friends were like, oh, you got this game. Like, will you stream it? I was
Hmm.
like, sure.
What game is it?
Okay.
Do you remember?
I know Astroneer was one of the first games I streamed, but I don't think it
Hmm.
was the first. I don't know. Was it Conan? No, I think it was Arcade. Oh, it was Arcade. It was when Arcade re No, that's not it. Is that what it was? I have no idea. I don't
Okay.
know. There was a lot of things. But
We'll
that was
solve
like,
that mystery
yeah.
later.
Yeah, one day. So, yeah. I don't know. And then, I don't know. I don't really know why I kept streaming. I just did. And here we are. It's like escapism. Like, gaming is
Yeah.
escapism. Streaming's escapism. It makes me, like, not have to think about things. It's very comforting. You can talk to other people.
Well,
So,
and I think it's just so exciting because every different game you play has different fans. And
yeah.
if you're playing lesser known games, and so you're getting people who are like, oh my gosh, somebody else is playing this game. And then you
Yeah.
get to meet new people and learn about them and learn about the type of people, even if it's a game that you just picked up randomly or was
Yep.
randomly recommended it. And you're like, huh, I guess I'll play this game. And these super fans just come running out and they're like, oh my gosh, this is the best game ever.
That's what happened last night. I started playing. Well, you raided me. I started playing the Secret of Monkey Island, because the new one's coming out this year, and I was like, okay, I wanna something I've had on my list. We'll try and get through the series and be ready for that new one. And all these fans were like, someone's playing Monkey Island, someone's playing Monkey Island, and I felt bad because they kept making all these references. Like they'd come in and their first line was like a reference that went over my head because I was like, oh, this is my first time playing. But yeah, that's always fun. That is always a good time. I think that's like my favorite, one of my favorite parts about playing the more niche games is getting those types of people, and then you learn so much more about the game that you might never have known because they love it and they're like, "Let me tell you."
Yeah, I'm so obsessed with the type of people who love to watch people's first playthroughs of a game
Yeah.
that they love.
Yes.
It's my favorite thing when they come in and they're just, just so, just quivering in anticipation for you to get to their favorite part or see the shock
Yep.
on your face. It's a way to relive their own shock and
Yes.
excitement. Anytime you've been like, I wish I could read that book for the first time or watch that movie for the first time. On
Yep.
Twitch, you can watch people play a game the first time and, yeah, just be knocked out by it.
And you can relive it. You can relive. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that.
When you first rated me for Nancy Drew, when we first met, you were playing
Hmm.
through all of the Nancy Drews in a series, right?
Oh, yeah, that was my second run through. So the first time I was like, there's at that point there's very few Nancy Drews I hadn't played yet. I had played pretty much all of them, but I was like, I want to play them in order. I want to see how they all connect, how it all builds in preparation for. I was gonna call it Town of Salem, but that's a different game. It was
Midnight.
Midnight in Salem. But yeah, when that first came out. Yeah. So I was like playing through them all, and man, we were on the grind in like the last month trying to get through them all. And then
Because, sorry, were you playing them all in 1 year?
yeah,
Sorry, you're.
yeah, yeah. I think I played through. I'm trying to think. Did Midnight in Salem come out in October or November? Or was it December? I think it was October. I feel like it was October. I played through them in like a 4 or 5 month period. I was like, oh shoot, the new one's coming out. I'm gonna do it. And we did it somehow. I don't know how. And yeah, Twitch only keeps your VODs for so long, and I didn't know you could like download your VODs at that time. And I was like devastated. I was like, man, I wish I would have kept these. So then when I rated you, I was working through my second playthrough, which I still am working on, of going through them in order because I wanted to keep the VODs and be able to like put them on YouTube to be able to look at them later and like and then I was like, "Oh, I also want to make the scrapbook that Nancy made. Like I want to remake that and I want to do all these things." So, yeah, we were playing. Oh, we talked about this earlier. I don't remember what I was on. I was on like the fifth one or something like that, I think, when I had rated you. Or maybe like the third or fourth.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I was trying to spread the Nancy Drew love because there used to be like not a lot of people who streamed it, or if they did stream it, they streamed the Shadow at the Water's Edge. That was like the super popular one, and I was like, you're not real Nancy fans. So like to see someone playing one of those and one of my favorite games, I was like, we're gonna spread the love to you.
Yeah.
So
Because the Nancy
and now we're
games,
friends. Now we're BFFs.
I feel like even when I first started streaming them, over a year ago, um, there were only, a few people at a time playing. And I feel like either a lot of viewers decided to start streaming because they saw all of the rest of us start streaming Nancy Drew, or a lot more streamers just fell back in love with them. So I don't know if it's just a whole bunch of new streamers who are streaming Nancy Drew or if people just made the decision to start.
I think it's new streamers. like based off of the people I saw start streaming it and stuff and looking, I think it was new streamers, which I do think in turn also brought back the nostalgia for other people and then brought people who maybe did already stream be like, I want to play a Nancy game. And somehow, for some reason, when Midnight in Salem came out, like it was like big. Like there was quite a few really big streamers who I had never seen play a Nancy Drew game before. They were like, "Oh, I'm gonna play that. I'm gonna stream that." And I was like, "Okay." And I
All
felt like
right.
that also helped. So,
Definitely. Yeah, every once in a while there will be like a really big streamer or, the girlfriend or wife of a really big streamer will be playing a Nancy Drew game for
mhm.
nostalgia. And it's just like, oh, okay. So that's the person who's
Yeah.
streaming Nancy Drew who has, 10,000 viewers. Got it, got it, got it.
Okay, I guess let's talk more about like the podcast. Like why are we making this podcast? What made us, get here and why we did it? So I've been thinking about it and wanting to make a podcast for a while. I feel like I have a lot to say, a lot of things I could say, maybe a lot of things that could be beneficial to others, but also just like, I don't know, I like being able to nerd out. And I was looking for a partner, a partner in crime, because I didn't want to go on this, journey by myself. And like, I don't even know why I was like, "Sweetie, you want to do a podcast?" But like, one day, just out of nowhere, I was like, or sorry, Lauren, Lauren, you want to start a podcast with me? And you were like, "I guess. I mean, why not?" And
Yeah, that was
so
exactly
I
my
know kind
reaction.
of I mean, I thought I like mimicked you pretty well, but Uh, so like my, I guess, personal reasons and like kind of what I want to do with the podcast is like, kind of having a place to be able to vent, to be able to talk. Um, since we are like a mainly like gaming kind of podcast, to give like the female perspective on gaming and like what it's like to be a female in the gaming culture and maybe making a difference for the better for females in the gaming. Um, but also just kind of like making a difference for people's lives like in general because like this kind of content like podcasts, streams, all of that is like listening to people and stuff and their stories like it keeps me going. It makes me have hope. It makes me want to do things and I want to give that to other people too. Like I love that. And I think kind of the last big thing is I've always loved learning more things, pushing myself to learn more, and then, spreading that knowledge, like a give and take. I want others to teach me, but I also want to teach others. And I guess ironically, I am a teacher with preschoolers. So, would you like to share your personal reasons? For why you said yes.
Yeah, I have also thought about participating in co hosting a podcast for a while. I think it's part of the way that I stream. Um, I definitely love playing the games, but I also love just taking a tangent off and talking about concepts and themes in the storytelling. I spent a lot of time in theater when I was younger and in playwriting classes, and I always loved English, and so I love scripts and I love media and I love building out stories. It's always going to be about this story for me. There's so many, and we'll talk about this later in Nancy Drew's segments, but the story is always the key part for me because you can have great puzzles in there, but if the story is not, if it doesn't make sense, if it's not clear, if the characters are not developed up to a certain point, then the whole game is going to fall apart. And so I spend a lot of time in my streams talking about that and talking about how I feel about that and talking about how different concepts have been used better in other areas and other, you know, tangents that would be good kind of more in a podcast setting necessarily than on stream. They're also fun on stream, but I think it also makes sense to translate them over into this.
Well, and doing this, like, you can research.
Definitely. Definitely. I like doing that research, and I like doing that kind of investigation, expanding my knowledge and understanding of what's hot in technology, and talking about the kind of games that are coming out that are maybe not necessarily on my Steam brand, or on my Twitch brand, but that I'm interested in playing and excited to play, and that we'll be playing not necessarily on Twitch or publicly, but that I'm playing for myself more. Well, it makes sense to do it with you because we are friends. We do enjoy playing similar games. I feel we have some different perspectives on different things. You have a much greater knowledge of games and just a longer knowledge of games. So I have a lot to learn about the gaming history and that sort of thing from you. And I just love to talk.
Aww.
So I'm very happy to come in and learn and chit chat about whatever.
I also feel like, I don't know, like, we have really good chemistry, and I feel like we can bounce back and forth off each other. And I feel like we can have, I keep saying I feel like, that's terrible. It's a safe environment. I feel I can really say my thoughts and opinion, and even if you disagree, you're not just gonna be like, you little poop. How dare you? How dare you think that way? And I'm like, I'm sorry. Please don't
I
beat me,
promise
monster.
I will not call you a poop.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You're gonna use the actual word? My bad. Oh,
but yeah, no, there's definitely that level of comfort and support with us.
So that's why we started it. But why did we name it what we named it? And I'm not gonna take any credit for that. That was all you. All the names I came up with, like, such basic beach bland names. Like, I had nothing.
You had a couple of sweeties, which was very nice.
I mean, I don't know. Well, it was cute, but you definitely hit it on the nail when you were like, or the nail on the head when you were like, uh, we should probably get something that's, like, more pointed to, like, what we would be talking about, or at least kind of like the topic we'd be covering. I was like, yeah, you're kind of right. So
Yeah. So, as you can tell, our podcast is called "I Don't Believe in Side Quests." So, there's some reasons behind this, right? So, just at a basic level, as the main character in your own story, you have an ultimate objective. So, it's saving a princess, finding treasures, defeating final bosses. These are obviously typically in games, although I suppose it could be true in real life as well. But we all have these ultimate goals. We have a series of tasks we have to accomplish that are going to actively move us closer to achieving those goals. So this is our quote-unquote main quest. And then along the way to those own goals, we run into other characters or are given, a note in passing, or we are somehow directed to other people's objectives. And so we can jump in to help those other characters rescue their own princesses or find their own treasures or defeat their own bosses. And these quote-unquote side quests do not directly move our own story along. They're super optional for us to join in. So the I don't believe in side quests concept has kind of two main parts. So part one is basically we are all side characters in each other's stories. So it's not that we're just embarking on petty little side quests. We have agreed to briefly step into someone else's story as a helper. Out of the goodness of our hearts or the desire for a really good reward, we have stepped back from that main character spotlight and we are willing to take a supporting role so someone else can achieve their ultimate goal. Second, and personally, I feel is the more important part of this reframing of side quests is that we learn so much when we spend the time helping other people. In games, we're going to gain experience, gold, or unique weapons that may not be super important plot point wise, but they do pave the way for our success later on in the game. And then in
Mm-hmm.
life, we're learning about how other people are seeing the world, what they're finding important, and that may change our perspective, and then also that way paves the way for our success later in life. So the game or our parents may see us pause or veer off the linear path to our otherwise stated ultimate goal and think we're wasting time. But they aren't taking into consideration the fact that most of us can't tackle our ultimate object head on as fast as possible. Like, most of us can't just say, okay, I'm just going to follow the main quest points and fight the ultimate boss. We need to take these side quests to get experience. We need to get better weapons. We need to gain broader skills. And so calling those side quests is just, it just seems silly because even though they're not necessarily actively moving the plot along, they're still super important and integral to our growth as characters and also as people. So, kind of, I know that was kind of a long explanation, but the key takeaway is that smaller goals that allow us to become more prepared to tackle our big goals are actually really necessary. Calling them side quests does them a disservice. Only experts can really stick to the main quest and come out on top. Most humans need some breathing room. Calling things side quests doesn't necessarily make sense when they're more of just, they're kind of expansion quests.
Yeah. 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 Well, it's a fitting in that, right, is it's a reference to gaming, and we're going to be talking about gaming, but also, how we're tying it to real life, and the importance of all that. So it's fitting, and I think we're going to talk about both. Like, we want to be able to talk about many things, mainly focused on gaming, but just life in general, and whatever else. So it's good. It's good. Um, you talked a little bit about, I think, kind of like why you gamed. You talked more so about your streaming, but I feel like
Mm-hmm.
we should, talk about what got us into gaming, well, why we started gaming. So I could start. You
Yeah.
could go first, whichever you'd like.
No, rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Okay. Um, I had the gamer gene from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, my dad was a gamer. Um, Ironically, he was friends with some of the people who worked on Doom, and like who that helped create Doom.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and like he knew a bunch of people who like really loved that game and played that game, and he was just like, "Meh, meh, it's not for me." He didn't. He wouldn't play it, which I think is so funny. I was like, "All right, okay, kind of a dick move, but you do you." Uh, so like when I came to be his little bean, he
Mm-hmm.
would play Hexen, which I don't think was age appropriate. Like, I would sit with him while he would play it, and we'd like play it together. Totally not age appropriate. Nothing we did together was age appropriate, to be honest. Oh, that sounds really bad, actually. Not like that. Wait, wait. I was a very sick child. I was home a lot. I was very sick. He was the one I was with. So we would watch, he could only handle so much cartoons. So we watched a lot of monster movies and sci-fi movies and horror movies and played these things that I probably shouldn't be playing. Like, some of the things, like, if my mom knew, she'd be like, but
Hmm.
he always thought it was good, and he always, like, we'd always have the conversation of, this is okay, this is not okay, what's good, what's bad. And he always used a lot of this as like a teaching experience for me, and being like, you gotta stick up for people,
Hmm.
and like when something is wrong, like, you gotta say something. You can't just let it happen. So he's what got me into gaming. We Yeah, he's the reason I have all my games. He bought all my games. I dug some of them out. These were like my games I played as a kid.
Aww.
Jurassic Park, preschool, Clifford. I don't really remember Clifford as much, but Arthur. Arthur was a go-to. My Harry
Mm-hmm.
Potters. I loved.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled out some of my original Nancy Drews. Oh, I lost them.
Mm-hmm.
The first one we had was the second one, the Haunted Mansion. Message in a Haunted Mansion. Um, he got me started, but also kind of what kept me going is my best friend, her mom was my daycare lady, so I spent a lot of
Mm-hmm.
time there, and they had Game Boys and Game Cubes, and let me tell you, we played the absolute poop out of Pokemon, Crash Bandicoot. She got us oh, what are they called? The Mary Kate and Ashley Sweet 16,
Oh
and
my
like a
goodness.
bunch of things, and yeah, I don't know. I never really talked about this with other people because like it was weird to be a girl and like play games when I was younger, so like I didn't talk about it. But
Hmm.
he always kept me interested. He was always getting me fun games to play. Um, Sansera is a very niche game. I don't know if many people know about, but that was like something we would play together and did play together for like many years of my life. And he got me Skyrim, your favorite game.
Yes.
And in like middle school, I started to do more online gaming. I started RuneScape. I was a baller in
Mm.
RuneScape, let me tell you.
Heck yeah, baby.
And then kind of WoW. And that's kind of like when I started paying attention to Twitch and
Mm.
stuff. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's the basics of it.
So, what would you say was the most, I guess, impactful then game that you played as a kid?
Ooh, two. Sansera, which if you've never played it and you can figure out how to get it to play on your computer, I'm going to tell you you should do it. You're this girl
Mm.
in London and you get freaking kidnapped and transported to this fairy world and you get to like have fairies and duel with the fairies and like fly around. So good. So beautiful. Love the music. Chef's kiss. And
Mm.
I think that was impactful because that was one of the ways me and my dad always connected. And he's a computer. I'll be honest. He's a computer. Like, there's a reason he works in IT. And so that was definitely outside of sports, one of our like biggest bondings.
Both of
And
our
then I
dads
would
worked in
say,
IT. That says a lot about both of us.
yeah, yeah. And then Nancy Drew, hands down, Nancy Drew and Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
But the Nancy Drew was like having a female character that I could play
Mm-hmm.
and relate to. Like, I had nothing against
Mm-hmm.
male characters, I love them. But it was like someone who was,
Oh,
you know,
I have things against male
oh,
man characters.
that's fine. You can you tell us, but yeah. And I liked how much you learned in the
Mm-hmm.
Nancy Drews. I like how they kind of like picked a theme, really dug down into the theme, and like I learned so much. I learned how to do so much. I would go up to my dad and be like, oh, "Guess what I learned today?" He'd be like, "Yeah, what?" Morse code. I'm gonna send you the SOS when I'm in trouble. Like, it's like okay. So definitely that. And I feel like Nancy also just impacted me as a person. Like she made me feel like it was okay to be curious and ask
Hmm.
questions. And
Super nosy, steal things. Yes, yes, yes,
okay,
yes.
okay, buddy. All right. You know what? It's your turn. You know, you go.
I did not mean to do this. Yeah, I really didn't play games growing up. Some. I did some, but not like classics. You know, I did educational PC games. I did like Math Blasters. Um, So, and oh, Franklin. I don't know if you ever played Franklin games, Franklin the Turtle.
Yes. Do you ever
Mm-hmm.
play this? You got that type to learn 3?
Yep,
Heck yes.
absolutely. Heck yeah. But yes, any of those kind of educational games my parents were all about.
Hmm.
Um, so, you know, that didn't last super long. As we were growing up, kind of grew out of those fairly quickly. But my mom grew up reading Nancy Drew books. I have some of her books from when she was young that are in my bookshelf with my collection of Nancy Drews that are just so cute. And then she discovered, Nancy Drew games were coming out on CD-ROM, so she gave a few to me and my sister. And we had Treasure in the Royal Tower, Message in a Haunted Mansion, The Final Scene, and Secret of the Scarlet Hand. So
Hmm.
those were kind of our core four that we owned and we played a lot. And it was so funny replaying those as an adult because I remember I think Haunted Mansion I always found really hard,
Yeah.
and as a kid, just
Yeah.
because it has those longer puzzles
Hmm.
where you have to go and find all of the symbols around the house, and I just never did because I didn't think about having them. And I mean, Scarlet Hand was also really rough as a kid, and doing it now, I'm just like boop 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 a doop boop, just pressing buttons. Um, and we went to my sister and I would go to the library and we'd rent other ones. So we owned the original or those four, and then we went to the library and we're just renting other ones. And so we would play them for a few hours and then inevitably just walk away from them because we had to go to dinner or something, and then uh, forget about them until we had to return them, and then we'd have to re-rent them, and then we'd have to start over again. And so it was just very confusing. Um,
I think about that sometimes, like playing through them. Like, how did we do this as a kid? Yeah, how
mm-hmm,
did I solve any of these things? Because sometimes as an adult, I'm like, whoa.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, designing games for kids that also can work for adults. I'm just very impressed because you do have to
Hmm.
have kind of, simplistic but also engaging enough. And because most kids, probably are playing with older siblings, or you just want the kids to be pushed to really think, really use their brains. So playing the
Hmm.
Nancys was
Yeah.
really good for that. Other than Nancy Drew, my sister got an Xbox as I was going away to college. It was kind of my parents like, okay, well, your sister's leaving you, so we'll get you an Xbox. Um, and so she played Halo, and I think at that point we got Skyrim. So basically, before I started streaming, before I got my gaming computer, I had played Nancy Drew's three of the Halo games, um, Halo 1, Halo 2, and ODST, and Skyrim. Those are pretty
Hmm.
much the
Hmm.
games that I knew.
I actually have a recommendation for you. I just thought of that since you love Skyrim so much. So
Mm-hmm.
this game came out like a month after Skyrim, which I think is why it didn't get as much as the recognition as it should have. Like I think it's a very underrated game, and that
Okay.
is Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. Now, they remastered it.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh they remastered it because the company was finally able to buy the rights to it. I'm hoping they're finally going to turn it into the franchise it should have been. And they just did a new DLC quite a few months ago actually. It was like I think it came out September, October, November. They had done a DLC. But like this it's a little more fanciful maybe than
Hmm.
Skyrim, but like it's so beautiful. I think it's so beautiful. It's so much fun. I love the story. Like these were the games I was nerding out in. It was like what 2011, 2012. I think
Mm-hmm.
Skyrim was like December 2011 and this was like January
Mm-hmm.
2012. Like this is what I was playing. until I think Witcher 3 came out, and then that's what I was playing. So,
The Witcher
would
series.
recommend.
I briefly played a little bit of my fiance's brother's copy of The Witcher 3.
Ooh.
So I want to get
Okay.
back into it because I know people really like it and I feel like it would be kind of my vibe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if you liked Skyrim, I mean, it's not like Skyrim, but it is like Skyrim in a sense. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely, yes. I stan Geralt. He's probably like top of my list of characters I wish I could marry. And
Okay.
also when they picked, I don't remember his Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill, when they picked him for The
Mm-hmm.
Witcher, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
Superman can't play him. Oh heck no. And then I watched the first series and I was like, you know what? I'll marry you, Henry Cavill. It's fine. And
He
he's the low key
is,
nerd too, which makes it so much better.
yeah, his,
Go
well,
ahead, I'm sorry.
my favorite character he played was in the movie Stardust. I don't know if you've seen that movie. It is my
Okay.
favorite movie. But he plays this kind of smarmy. It's a small part. It's a tiny little part, but you would not recognize it was him, except you can see his jaw, and you're like, I recognize that jaw. But he is,
Oh, I know that.
but he is just kind of the cool guy around town, around the town the main character grows up in before he goes off into the magical world. So he's supposed to be like what the main character wants to be before he goes and kind of comes into his own. Um, anyway,
Right.
it's a tiny little part. He plays it delightfully. You cannot recognize him. He is very young. It's so good.
He's a beautiful man. An absolutely beautiful man. He built a PC. He built a gaming PC. Can you believe that?
Yeah, so did I.
I
He's not
watched the
special.
video of it and I was like, oh man. It's not that he's special. It's just fun to see a huge actor in Hollywood being a gaming nerd, okay?
No, I love that.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I think we were going to talk about kind of our favorite types of games as we at least are typically playing through. For me, I'm playing a lot
Sure,
of point and
sure.
click mystery games. Of course, Nancy Drew, Sherlock Holmes, Agatha Christie games, a lot of very story based. So that's kind of where I like to live as opposed to first person shooter or anything a little more actiony. Hades was very much
Hmm.
one of my favorite games that I go back to again and again. I've done Sims, but yeah, anything where there's a bit of a story. If there's not a good story, I'm immediately out. Do not care.
Not having it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I'm. I play too many games. I play a wide
You play a lot of
variety. I
games.
like to dip my toe in everything. I like mystery, point and click. So my brain is being intellectually stimulated. I
Mm-hmm.
love horror because I like to be scared. Actually, I don't know. I really actually have no idea why I love horror. I just know I love it and I'm obsessed with it and I have been my whole life. I
Hmm.
freaking love sci-fi, anything sci-fi.
Is this because of the movies that your dad and you watched when you were little?
Honestly, I think so. They
Mm-hmm.
probably seriously tainted me as a child. Like if we really think
Mm-hmm.
about it, yes. And
Mm-hmm.
like the TV series that were my childhood, like when people say like Arthur and stuff, I'm like, mine were Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Yes,
Angel,
love.
Xena the Warrior
Okay.
Princess, Hercules, Firefly, like all these things. I'm like, yes, I want to be them. So I feel like I feel like games are a good way to be someone or something you're not in real life. Like I love Sea of Thieves because I can be a pirate. Because obviously, I can't really be a pirate in real life. But you know what? For a few hours, I can be a pirate and I can pillage and thieve and tell people to walk the plank and sail.
Mm-hmm.
Sailing's fun. I
Mm-hmm.
actually really enjoy that. Um, yeah, I actually did not used to like FPS games. Like I didn't
Hmm.
mind like watching people play them, but I didn't really like them, and I didn't get the attraction of liking them. But I don't know if it's as I've gotten older, or play more games, I've started to like them more. I started to like
I think it's
getting
a comfort
competitive
level.
and trash talking. Yes, yes, I agree. As I've become more confident in myself as a gamer and in my skills, I like those games and pitting my
Mm-hmm.
skills against other people and the trash
Well,
talking.
for me, I can play first person shooter and I can do some of those things if I'm
Yeah.
playing with friends or I'm playing with my fiance. Because as long as I'm not like
Yeah, I was
trying
gonna
to go
say,
at it
you guys playing
alone,
through Halo.
Halo,
Yeah.
yes, fine. We're doing Resident Evil together, just like anything where it's kind of a lot
Yeah.
of action going on at once. If I can have at least one other person there with
Mhm.
me, then I'm willing to kind of do it, as a little pack. But doing it alone is just really
Yep.
daunting, and I just don't have as much fun. The whole
Yeah.
reason I like to play kind of the point and click and the story is because I like being immersed in it. I like being able to talk about it. I like not having to necessarily have all the quick time events or the reactions so that I can be thinking through and kind of going slower and logical and be talking to chat and whatever about the decisions I'm making and working
Mhm.
my way through rather than just bang, bang, bang.
I get that. I don't play it like Valorant and stuff. I never play that alone. I like to always duo queue. So if someone starts talking match, I got my friend who's like, you know what? She's Rockstar. What are you gonna do about it? Like, I
Yeah.
would say like my favorite, like if I had to pick one besides horror is survival and like co-op kind of survival games or even just chill. Like Stardew co-op was amazing, 10 out of 10, but like I love that. The building, having to be or being able to build like my own place, being able to experience it with other people and having story. Like having all three of those things, that's it. That's prime.
Yeah. Being able to create, and so that's why I enjoy Sims and definitely Stardew, because being
Yeah.
able to, yeah, be on that kind of creator side, able to use creativity, able to lay things out. And I don't know if that's just like the millennial in us who's just like, I don't know if I'm ever going to have a house and be able to, do all of these things IRL. But, you know, we can do them online, we can show them off to friends, we can talk about them, we can, kind of play house in a way.
I feel like for me it's I like to be stimulated in a lot of different ways. Like I would like my brain to be used in a lot of different ways. So like being able to be creative, being able to think and like critical think and problem solve. Um or sometimes just sitting back and like taking in the experience and like being in the experience. I just like a lot of stimulation, I guess. I don't know. I think that's also why I play such a variety of games because I need all the different things. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, it's just kind of comforting to play a lot of similar games. I'm somebody who likes to rewatch movies over and over
Mhm.
again and listen to, podcasts that I know and like. I'm happy to try new things,
Right.
but there's always, the concern, I guess, that maybe it won't be as good as everyone's saying. So as long as I can just stick with something that I know is going to be good and true and something that I know I'm going to enjoy. And so, Yeah,
Right.
sometimes sticking with that is just a comfort level. Yeah, so I think playing with friends, it increases that comfort level because it's like, well, even if I'm not necessarily having fun doing the thing, at least I'm going to have fun with friends.
Right. Yeah, true. I never thought about that, but now that you say it, I'm like, yeah, okay. I've definitely done that. Yeah.
I'm really interested in psychology and especially motivation. I was taking business classes in college about motivation. I'm in HR, that's what I do. And so understanding what motivates people in work to keep working at their job, to keep working at the company, to, I guess, work in general, to work in the field. That's really interesting to me, but also definitely what motivates different types of gamers. And just like what we were talking earlier with a child playing Nancy Drew versus an adult playing Nancy Drew, what sort of rewards you can fit in there to keep motivating the child to keep playing even if they get stuck, or for the adult to keep playing even if it's too easy. I just find so fascinating, and I'm so impressed with game designers who are able to design for all of those different levels.
I love that stuff too. I loved all of my psychology and like sociology classes. Anytime. Okay, I know I said I'm a teacher, unqualified, because when I went to college, I went for mechanical engineering and general business management. Totally other side of the spectrum of what I'm doing now. I I wanted to be a project manager with engineers, but that's a whole other story. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, whenever we talk about that in my business classes, or like, because I was general business management, we took like 1 to 2 classes in all of the different categories. So accounting, financing, marketing, operations, all of that. Like we were essentially taught to be little baby entrepreneurs. Like we could, start up a business. But like, like marketing and stuff, whenever we would talk about that and the psychology of things, and how you attract people, or like what makes them see something and think I want to get that, or oh, I like this. I love that. I love that so much. It's very fascinating how
Mm-hmm.
people work, how our brains work. So, I hope we can do many podcasts on that kind of stuff.
I know one of the goals we have for this podcast, or not necessarily goals, but future segments, future ideas, we want to be talking with other people in the gaming industry on all different sides, from selling, from marketing to actual game
Mhm.
design to story creation, other streamers, other players in general, and talking to them about different aspects of that, because I think we're both really curious about all
Yes.
sorts of different pieces of putting a game together and trying to encourage people to get into it, especially on the indie side.
Having like kind of like, I feel like it would be like a sub series, because I don't know if it'd be like
Mm.
every, episode, but like
Mm-hmm.
yes, I would definitely love to be able to do that, and to interview, or have for some of them like a day in the life of,
Mm-hmm.
whatever they are. I think that'd be truly interesting. And to learn more about like what goes on behind the scenes, like what all goes into making a game, and the decisions they make and how they make these decisions. So, yeah, I'm excited
Yeah.
for that. One
Like you
day.
said, we have a lot of learning ahead of us on this journey, um, about a lot of different aspects of the technology and gaming industry outside of our own experiences, which we're really excited
Mhm.
about.
Yeah, cuz it's huge. Like gaming culture, gaming industry, it like I feel like to everyday people and stuff, like when you talk about it, when you think about it, it doesn't seem like it's that big, but like when you start going, there's so much, so many different things. It it blows my mind. Like even being a part of it and knowing it, every time I actually stop and think about it, I'm like, wow. And the impact it has on so many people's lives
Mm-hmm.
is crazy.
Yeah, my parents are not into gaming at all. At least my mom is really not. My dad somewhat gets into it, but my mom really has no idea anything about games. And I was trying to explain to her about another mom who plays MMOs, and my mother could not get it through her brain. She was just like, adults do this? It's for adults? I was like, oh no.
One of my favorite streamers is 40 years old. He plays Sea of Thieves, and every time he says his age, I'm like, like, I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at him. Like, I don't think it's not for old people, but I kind of chuckle, and I'm like, that's gonna be me when I'm 40. I'll still be, I'll still be playing games, living my best life.
That cracks me up also because, I mean, 40 is young, you know. The mom who plays all
Right.
these MMOs is 60, and she's been playing them for 10 years. And so, yeah, there's just so many. Because at this point, because when did video games start coming out originally?
If we're not including arcade games, I feel like the first was like 80s, right?
Okay.
70s or 80s? Because I feel like 60s, 70s is when we started getting, like arcade and like Pac-Man and
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Yeah. So at this point, you know, the vast, vast majority of adults have grown up with some semblance of video games. And the idea that, oh, they're just for, 21 and under is just so absurd. But to people who truly don't interact with people who game at all, I mean, and I really didn't. Obviously, my fiance and his friends game, and I was doing marginal gaming, but I really had no idea, truly, until I joined Twitch, of what on earth was going on. And I know there's plenty of other communities out there because I'm not even on Reddit. I know there's
Same.
so much out there about gaming in general that I just haven't even gotten close to.
Okay, I think it's time. I think we do it. The tea party segment.
Okay. So basically, because our whole podcast is about quote unquote side quests and about objectives that are very important to someone, maybe not to you, but to someone who is the main character in their own story, they're having stuff go on that is very important to them that no one else probably really cares about. And so some of this petty drama we are going to be sharing with all of y'all in our tea party segment. So today's tea party is about my apartment drama because this truly just ended. Spoiler alert. And I'm so excited to have my apartment back. But basically, there was plumbing that was going on, or there was plumbing needed to go on for the past 2 weeks. Some plumbing had broken. There was something real gross that was only accessible under my apartment, and so no one was doing anything. We're just renters, so we're not even on the board. Like, we can't really get involved. We obviously were talking to our landlord, who was honestly not being super helpful. Sorry, Bill. But
Name drop.
name dropped. We love Bill. It's okay.
We stand, Bill.
But we ran into our neighbor out in the parking lot, and we had talked to her a few times before, and it came out that she is an owner, and she's like the only owner who lives on the premises. And she's like, so it's up to me to determine, if we're going to be paying XYZ. And we were like, amazing. Do it. Yes, do it. You're going to do it, right? And so,
She's not gonna do it.
because they had arrived, so 2 weekends ago, people had come by and they were like, hey, we need to get under the hatch underneath your pantry. So obviously we had to empty out our entire pantry. We had to take all of the shelving out. And all of our pantry has been living in our room for the past 2 weeks. And so they couldn't get into the pantry because everything was in the pantry. So they were like, we're going to make an appointment. We're going to come back. And we were like, amazing, do that. So we cleared out the pantry that night. They never came back. And we were like, okay, we haven't heard anything. What's going on? And so we ran into her neighbor. She got my number so we could text each other about like whatever shenanigans were going on. And she was just like, great, we have a board meeting in like 3 hours, so I'll let you know what happens. So she gets to the board meeting. She texts me the next day and she says, the property manager said that we denied them access to our hatch. And my fiance and I were like, no, that's thoroughly not what happened. And so my fiance then emailed the business management or the property managers and was asking them, hey, what's going on? We heard that you guys said we denied you access. And they emailed back and said, no, we didn't say that. And we were just sitting there like, okay, I don't care who's lying. I don't care what's going on. And then they were saying that our neighbor was saying that they were lying about what was underneath, which is not what she was telling us. And so we were just getting totally conflicting stories from both sides. And we're like, we don't care. Just somebody has to fix this. Anyway, right. And so it ended up that she didn't trust their estimate. And so then we got the board got an outside group to come in, do a quote, and do the whole thing. So then she was texting me being like, hey, I'm going to approve it ASAP. And then like 2 days later, it did get approved. And then yesterday, they were in all day doing pumping and then doing plumbing. And then they were back in this morning to fix and finish everything up. And now my pantry is back and returned to me. And I'm so excited, but I truly do not know who to trust.
So it wasn't resolved, and who lied? Like who, or like where the false? Okay.
No idea. Nope.
Interesting.
But yeah, so I don't know if there's just like something got lost in translation. But
I feel like that would have been a very big loss in translation. Like those are like
right,
not like even remotely kind of like, okay, I could see where you missed a couple words. This was like two completely different things.
Right. Yeah. Because she was saying they just said that you denied access, and then kind of she left it at that. And then they said, we didn't say that, but they said we weren't telling the truth about what was underneath the apartment. And How
could you not be telling the truth about what's under the apartment, though?
I know. They were like, we have pictures. And we were like, oh, we believe you. Just so you know, there's been a smell. We have been spending the night at my sister's. I've been going into the office to not be working in there. We've had our air off, our hot air off. We've had our heater off. Our electricity bill was $25 because we had no heater going for the last 2 weeks. Our door's been open, so it's been freezing every time we've been home, just to like let things air out. Obviously, we've like had our bedroom door closed and other doors closed to like keep the smell out. Like there was clearly stuff happening, and yet no one was doing anything. No one was telling us what was going on. It was just like so annoying.
So how long did this all take to get resolved? Like, I don't remember. When did this first start happening?
So the guys came to try to get into our hatch 2 weeks ago. But apparently stuff has been starting to go down there for the last 6 months. And like it must have just been like frozen in December, because I had been like getting kind of like little smells like underneath some of the cabinets, and I was like, what is happening? But my fiance was never around to smell them, and so it was just like, I don't know, I'm not involved. And so we never really thoroughly investigated it, and I just kind of was like, okay, whatever. But then other people in the apartment were complaining, and then even our next door neighbor was like texting me, and she was like, yeah, the smell's like super bad today. And I was like, it sounds like you should approve plumbers. But
I feel like I'm being really dumb right now. Why it was water, right? Why was water? No, wait, what was it?
It was not water, I regret to tell you.
Oh.
Literally, my apartment has been smelling like poop in various levels for the
Oh.
past 2 weeks.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm dumb. I don't know why I thought it was water. I was like, oh, that's even okay.
Oh, I wish it was water.
I thought it was
Yeah.
like water, and then you're
Well,
getting like the mold and the rot. That's what I thought. But
mm,
okay.
that would also have sucked. Absolutely.
Oh, yikes. Yikes.
Yeah. So it's because when they first came to tell us, we were kind of like, oh, that would explain some of the weird smells we have sporadically been smelling. But literally, then, since they've been here, like it had gotten so much worse. Like yesterday morning, right before they came, it smelled the worst it ever smelled, and I was just like, holy cow.
Ugh. Was
Pretty
it
much.
just your guys's, or was it
It was the
other?
problem area was not even our pipes. It was our upstairs neighbor's pipes. It was located, but the um, the area they had to pump was only accessible through our hatch underneath our
I see.
apartment.
So you're getting punished for somebody else's. Ah, that
Yeah.
makes it so much worse. It's not even like
Yes.
your stench, it's someone else's.
Yes.
My germaphobe.
Oh no, yeah, it's literally been the worst.
Oh, yikes. Oh, yikes. I am so sorry.
Ugh.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
But it's hopefully fixed now. Right.
It's fixed.
Okay.
They took care of it. The property managers were down there today and they were like, nope, they did a really good job. They were like showing us pictures of how clean it was down there.
Perfect.
They showed
Perfect.
my fiance pictures. I did not look at pictures because I am a lady.
Oh, of
Um,
course. Of course, madam. My bad.
but now I'm just like, paranoid, thinking that I'm smelling things.
I would be too. I would be too. I feel like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. We have to just like
perfectly
obviously
normal.
do such a deep clean in the apartment now. So that is my
Your
drama.
drama. Your tea.
So is it time to talk about side quests? Do you have a favorite side quest, Nen?
Wait. Okay, just wait. Just wait. I know yours is from Skyrim.
Yes. Obviously.
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 I feel like it's been so long since I played Skyrim. I have the remaster, is that what you call it? I really want to play it because I can't play the original because you can't lock your FPS. And it like freaks out on my computer, and so I have the remastered to be able to play it, but I haven't had a chance to get around to it. I guess I don't know if you would call these side quests, but like
Okay.
what I loved about Skyrim was like all the little rabbit holes you could go down, all the like side
Mm-hmm.
cults and people that you could just like bury yourself into. I love
The
that.
whole vampire thing or the vampire hunter thing or yeah.
Child me unknowingly became a vampire, didn't know you could become a vampire, didn't know
Yes.
why it happened, didn't know why people were running from me and
Yes.
trying to kill me, and my poor dad spent like 5 hours trying to fix it for me.
I would
Bless his heart.
love to become a Skyrim vampire.
Well,
I've
I didn't get it. I didn't understand what it was or what it meant. But now that I get it, I can appreciate it.
I have the vampire pack, I guess,
Mm.
expansion, don't know, for Sims.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I have always done the magic and forgotten that you cannot be a wizard and also a vampire, which I think is very rude. So every time I'm just like, oh, yeah, I want to start learning magic. And then they're like, great, well, you do magic now, so you cannot be a vampire. So I've never been a Sims vampire, even though I have it. And it is one of my truly ultimate goals.
You should do it. Well, part of it is like, I think in I'm not an expert on Sims games, but I'm pretty sure in some of the past, you could be hybrids. Like, you could do multiple things, but for whatever reason in Sims 4, they were just like, no. Because someone was talking about the new scenario in Sims, or like one of the new scenario things they've been doing. You can be a plant sim. They brought plant sims back. And she was talking about how she used to like to be a vampire and a plant sim,
Oh
and
my
like how
god.
it like clash because the plant sim needs sun, but like the vampire can't go in the sun. And so yeah. I don't know why we don't have hybrids in Sims 4, but
I
alas,
am a
here we
Sims
are.
player who just like works my sim to the bone. I'm always just like, girl, if you are not up there and like getting level 10 on every single skill, if you're not constantly doing things, what
What
are
are
you
you
doing? You're
doing?
a waste of my time. And I think it's a problem because I only have one sim going at a time. Like, I think I need to make a family and then just like pick people up as I want to, rather than
Yeah,
just hyper focused in on one person and being like, nope, not like that. Stop that.
I definitely overmanage my Sims, and my sister has
Mm-hmm.
always judged me. And she's like, I don't get why you feel the need to tell them all these things. Like, you can let them live. And I'm like, well, you
But
kill
then
your
what's the point?
Sims. Exactly. What's the point? Very true. What is your favorite side quest, though? Please tell us your Skyrim side quest. We're ready.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
so
Drum
my
roll.
favorite Skyrim side quest is called Laid to Rest. And it is the one where you find this burned out house, and you hear about the town that this man's wife and daughter burned to death, and then he married another woman the next day. And so you
Oh,
find this little ghost girl, and she's just
yep.
like, I want to play hide and seek, me, 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 me. And then it turns out the woman who married the father is a vampire, and so she's like, done some mind control or whatever, and she vampired the wife, I guess.
Sired.
Um, nah, no, she just murdered her, I guess.
Oh, aren't you saying she turned her into a vampire?
No, I'm saying no,
Oh, then she just murdered her.
she
Okay.
murdered her.
She chomped her
Yeah,
jugular. Okay.
she chomped her. Yeah, she chomped her. They're cute.
Hmm.
But she chomped the wife, and they like, and the vampire's assistant vampire, I guess, tried to turn the child into a vampire, and so they had to burn down the house to like cover up those bodies, basically.
Yep.
Anyway, so then you have to fight the vampire, and it's just this whole thing. But it's just such a well laid little story, this
Hmm.
little drama where you're like, oh, you have to solve this murder crime, and then you have to do this other thing, and it just really just lays out from beginning to end. It has a bit of tragedy, it has a little bit of humor and just like ridiculousness in it. It's just, personally, I think it's perfect.
Well, and it's more than just the classic side quest. Please go get me 10 chickens. But when you started Skyrim, I know what you're talking about. I remember the burnt house and the little girl
I play it every single time in Skyrim. Every single time, I'm just like, whoop, gotta do it.
hunted down. You're like, this is
Gotta
my
go get the
side quest.
ghost. And free the little girl ghost, and it's just a whole thing. Yeah, yeah.
Well, and like thinking about it too, right? And the whole thing of our podcast, like, what a joke that that's a side quest, because like that's like a big deal for
That's
someone.
what I'm saying.
Like,
For people in that town, like that is a main
monumental.
quest. Like the whole, yeah, trying to hunt down like who murdered this woman and child, and then he married her, and then this whole thing happened. So it's just like drama, drama, drama. It's a whole thing. Like you could make an entire game just focused on that, and that's, I mean, it's so perfect because it's a full story beginning to end,
Hmm.
and
Yep.
you, as your character, have just wandered in and are put in charge of the investigation because that's what you're good at. But yeah.
Wrong place, wrong time. Right place, right time. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that you get closure. I like when you do get closure. I don't like
Yes.
open-ended.
Well, and there are so many Skyrim side quests that are like that. Anything
Yeah.
about love, where you get to say, okay, well, I can decide if I want to give this guy's letter to her or this guy's letter to her, and I can kind of choose my own adventure.
Yep.
Yeah. And, from her perspective, she's like, well, I've got these two lovers, and this one's being nice to me, but then this one's really interesting, and so on and so forth. But I think my favorite, like, short little kind of side quests in Skyrim are when you are running around trying to steal beer for people. And they're like, I would like an ale. Go acquire one, thank you. And you give it to him, and then he, like, gives you something. It's
Yes,
just
yes,
fun.
yes.
But it is his primary objective.
Yep.
Must
Yep.
find beer. You have found a helper who will bring you beer. Excellent.
Who doesn't want to help her who will bring you beer?
I mean, honestly, we are truly in their world. We are just so excited to be doing this podcast, to be talking about everything tech, gaming, women in gaming, getting to know each other and ourselves better. We would love if you have anything to contribute to the tea party, send it in. We've got nosidequests@gmail.com. You can find us at nosidequests on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube.
Yep. Links will be in the description. I'll make sure to put that all down there. Yeah. Yeah, we have been nerding out about this. Like every time we talk about it, we get all like like giggly, and like we've been power brainstorming and thinking about it and having so much fun. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, no side quests pretty much on everything. YouTube is I don't believe in side quests, but all the other stuff was pretty much no side quests. We'll put links in the description. Um, you can be found.
Yes, I can be found at sweetie_potat, SWI.
SWEETIE_POTAT. Twitch, Twitter, Instagram,
Not
questionably
Instagram.
YouTube, not Instagram. Okay, Twitch, Twitter,
Just Twitch and Twitter.
Twitch and Twitter. I can be found at nenyaadamas, NENYAADAMAS. I'll put all those links down below. Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I'm really terrible at all of my social media, but you know what? One day we're getting there.
I
We
immediately
also
forgot how to spell sweetie.
10 out of 10. We also have a Discord that you can go in and I'll give your thoughts. Leave a review, I think is what they are, like with your thoughts, any opinions, things you want us to work on. Yes, definitely be sending in your drama. The tea. We want the tea for our segments. And I think that pretty much covers it. We don't really have an outro besides that.
Outro coming soon.
Coming
But we
soon.
love you guys, and we hope you have an amazing week.
Yep, and we'll catch you in episode 2 for Nancy Drew, our biggest passion.
Episode 2, Nancy Drew. Truly our
Truly.
biggest passion.
All right. Bye-bye, guys.